What is up? Happy Fantasy Friday. And also happy birthday to me. I always ask people on my birthday, if you want to get me something, your gift to me is to just register to vote and to go vote, basically. That's what I ask for every year. That is my birthday wish. If you don't know how to register to vote, just Google how to register to vote in your zip code, and it will tell you things. Also, if you want to learn more about your candidates, I will link a site, which is awesome. I think it's run by the League of Women Voters, and it's, nonpartisan, and it just asks the candidates different questions, and they both get the chance to answer the same question. And yeah, you can just assess from their answers what you think of the candidates. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. I buddy read this and the previous book in the series, Before They Are Hanged, with Mark from Slowly Read, which was awesome. I will link his channel in the description below, and he should have a review of this on his channel, so yeah, check that out after you watch this video, of course. And yeah, let's get into it. So, The Last Argument of Kings. First of all, amazing title. I do love this title. Second, and I should say, spoilers for the first two books. No spoilers for the third book, even though there's a lot to talk about spoiler-wise with this book, but I'm not going to. But you can definitely talk to me in the comments about your spoiler-filled thoughts, and definitely preface the comment, of course. But anyway, so in the second book, let's talk about the magic system. There are hints at why Farah and why Logan have different kind of magical abilities. And you know what? I also had this theory in the second book that West had some sort of magic, or like some sort of like Logan-ish like demon blood or whatever, because West would get very mad as well, and he was the first through at wherever and lived, which was like shocking. Like that was his bona fides, if you will, prior to book one. And him, the like extremely graphic abuse scene with his sister in the first book, like that seemed like it like almost seemed like a different person. And no, I'm not like excusing that sort of abuse, but within the context of the magic system, I mean to say, whereas like Logan as well, had like these moments of just like, I'm going to kill anyone and everyone when he's like raging or whatever you want to call it magic wise. So we got some hints at that at book 2. But this is really like a soft magic trilogy. Like, I do wish there was more answers in this book or somewhere in the trilogy about who has like devil's blood or whatever, and what does it do exactly. But we really don't get that, unfortunately. And I don't get my questions answered about West. Does he have magical abilities? Does he not? But I'm burying the lead here. Let's talk about characters, right? Joe Abercrombie does phenomenal. People say his characters in this trilogy are like the best. He's got like the best character development. I think that's overstating it, but just a tiny bit, because they truly are amazing. Even the crew scenes with like the Dogman and Black Dow and Grimm and Three Trees, there's sort of this tension that we're left off with Three Trees dying at the end of the last book. So like that has some continued development. How will Dogman handle being the leader of the group? And that is one of my favorite arcs in this. Another one, Glokta, in this book continues to be phenomenal. I think Glokta is maybe the best character I've ever read. I know that's like extreme praise. He's just so good. Jasal is also very good. Logan I liked in the first two books, and he was probably my second favorite character in the first two books. This book, though, he seems like weird. Like, he's like disconnected. Like, remember in the last book when he tells Giselle, like, yeah, just like get away from it all and like go live on a farm somewhere or something. And but like he doesn't seem to take his own advice. And I don't know, Logan definitely took a step down for me in this book. Giselle took his place very well. Farah still like is like take it or leave it. I'm not a huge fan. West. So we saw West with this sort of redemption arc from book one, perhaps doing like the most heinous act, or at least like there was no justification for it. So he was like the most hated, but he gets this redemption arc in book two, and like killing the prince or whatever. Yeah, that was a great redemption scene, and that's one of the scenes too where I kind of got like the theory about West being like unable to control his emotions because of the demon blood or whatever. Because like the way it's phrased is West had no like thoughts that were fogging his mind, but like just prior to that, when they ambushed people in the second book, like it felt like he had totally lost control of his emotions and his like what he could do. Like didn't he like bite someone's ear off? Like it's just horrifying, the level of graphicness sometimes. But yeah, and then when he pushed the prince off, he like just didn't have those, emotions. He didn't have a headache, which is a word Abercrombie used to describe West's mood a lot. But yeah, West with Croy and that other, oh my gosh, I'm so bad with names, guys. But the other general up there, and the generals always disagree with each other, and West is like caught in the middle, and he kind of hates both of them. That plays out very interestingly in this book. Overall, I'd recommend the series just for the characters, I think, because the plot is nothing special, and to me there's like weird plot things that happen towards the end, like specific plot points that I disagree with, or that like I really kind of have to suspend my disbelief a little bit for. And the plot itself, like the pacing, is weird towards the end. There's a lot of falling action, which makes sense actually, just because these three books feel like they're all one book scrunched together and then chopped at two locations to make three books. So if you think about it like a 1,700 page book, having, a 100-page falling action or however long it is makes sense. And it also makes sense how slow paced the first book was more now, if you conceive of it like that. But yeah, I mean, the falling action was weird, both how much of it there was and like how not wrapped up certain aspects of the story were. Like some of the subplots felt like the characters had a nice bow wrapped up around their story, and some didn't, and I'm not going to say which ones. In fact, I would say most didn't end in like a great time. They were mostly like weird endings. It almost felt like Joe Abercrombie's down to write more books within the series. Like even another book immediately after this book would make some amount of sense. The arc of the story would be different. But I mean, I'd be down to follow these characters more. I'm definitely gonna take a little break from Joe Abercrombie now, just cause, like, sigh. They're longer books. I'm not like super interested in the plot, though. I mean, I did get interested towards the end. I don't think the plots are phenomenal. Like, I don't think the world is phenomenal. I don't think the magic system. I'm not like a fan of the soft magic that's going on. I want something like a bit more concrete, usually. But I think Joe Abercrombie does well with the soft magic system. But yeah, there are too many things that are good, but I'm just not impressed by. The only thing I'm like super impressed by is the characters. I would give this book, and just because of the characters, I feel like I have to give this book and the Before They're Hanged like 4 to 4.5 stars. With the first book, the plot is just not there in the first book, so that's like 3 or 3.5 stars. But yeah, I know people like love this book. People have it as like their top 3 series of all time. I see it because the characters are great, but for me, it's just not there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm definitely not trying to like throw that much shade, but it may sound like I am because I wasn't that impressed by the book, so, or I wasn't as impressed as large swaths of BookTube and like the fantasy community and the grimdark community. But yeah, that's everything. Like, comment, subscribe. See ya.